Aloha everyone, welcome to Heather's Home Kitchen, or at least my backyard kitchen today. So I'm Heather Klug, registered dietitian from the Karen Yance Women's Cardiac Awareness Center. Now in February 2020, we had an open house to kick off Heart Month, and we did a luau theme this year because Hawaii is one of the top healthiest states in the United States. Now I'm sure their wonderful, beautiful weather is one of the reasons why. They're getting that great vitamin D all year round. But people in Hawaii also have other great habits. They tend to eat produce really regularly. They eat a lot of seafood. They exercise a little more on average than we do here in the mainland United States. And they also are a little bit better at managing their stress. So in the spirit of Hawaii today, I thought I would show you one of their more common dishes there. It's called Huli Huli chicken. Now this isn't the original recipe, or I'm not preparing it the traditional way, because with that they do it on a rotisserie, or they spatchcock the chicken where it's cut down the middle and it's split open like a book, and they put it between two wire racks and it's constantly turning. In fact, huli means turn, so it's turn chicken. So I'm gonna try my best to do a version of that. So to make huli huli chicken, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna make a marinade for that. And in fact, I'm gonna spread that on the chicken right now, and then I will tell you what's all in here, okay? So we've had the chicken cooking for a little bit, if you wanna come do a close-up of that, honey. So I'm just gonna spread this on here, so we're gonna be basting it. Doesn't that look delicious? So in a marinade for huli huli chicken, what's usually in here is garlic, fresh ginger, soy sauce. I'm using the low sodium soy sauce. And then there's usually something sweet. So in this recipe, I did do a combination of brown sugar and honey. And then there's usually something sour. So you can use vinegar, you can use white wine if you'd like. In this recipe, I did pineapple juice. And then there's usually ketchup in here as well. Now to add a little spice to it, because my honey likes things a little spicy, right? So I did half ketchup and I did half chili sauce in here, just to give it a little bit of a kick, okay? So we had already been cooking this somewhere between 15-20 minutes before we started recording. And we let it cook for about 10 minutes on the first side, and then we flipped it over, and then we did baste it. And then we put the cover back on the grill because it is over indirect heat. We let that go about another 5 minutes, and then we turned it over again, and now I just baste it again. So I'm gonna put the lid back on. But after you make that marinade I just talked about, oh, and there's a little bit of low sodium chicken broth in there as well. So after the marinade, you're gonna put that in a resealable plastic bag, right? And you're gonna put the chicken in there. But before I do that, I take some of that marinade out. I usually double the marinade because I like to make a nice thick sauce. If you can do a close-up of this too, honey. So I reduced this on the stove. So I just boiled it and let that boil for about a minute, and then I turned it down to simmer. This did take a little longer than I thought. It did take me about 20 minutes to get to this nice consistency, keeping in mind that it will thicken as it cools as well. I did then have to thin it out with a little bit more pineapple juice, but now I'm using this as kind of basting. So save a little bit out so you can make this delicious sauce to be basting with, okay? So we're gonna let that cook just a couple minutes longer in there. And once this is all done, it's gonna look really beautiful. I would say we did bone-in but skinless chicken breasts. I removed the skin. It's pretty easy to do. And that helps cut down on the flare-ups on the grill too, helps reduce those cancer-causing chemicals. The other nice thing to using a marinade on the chicken is that it's going to reduce those cancer-causing compounds by about 90%, maybe even a little bit higher. So it's good for both our hearts and the rest of our body, okay? So the bone-in chicken breasts, they do take about 20-25 minutes maybe on the grill. If you don't have a grill at home, you can prepare this in the oven as well. It's going to take about a similar amount of time. You're going to cook it around, or bake it around 350, 375. I would say the last 5 minutes, I would put it under a broiler so it gets nice and crispy in there, okay? Oh, and with the marinade, I forgot to mention that you want it in there at least a few hours, about 3 hours, but I did it overnight. And that's just gonna help it absorb a little bit more flavor in there. All right, so why don't we go ahead and check on our chicken again. So I'm gonna take this off and we'll take a peek at it and kind of see how it's doing, okay? Oh, that's looking really good, you guys. You know, it's hard to mess up chicken thighs too. You can use chicken breasts in this recipe as well. They will just cook a little bit faster, right? They don't have as much fat to them. So they do have the tendency to dry out, so you do have to watch them more carefully. It is hard to screw up chicken thighs. They do have just slightly more fat. It's not tons more. But there's enough in there where it will retain its juiciness a little bit better. So these are looking done. With chicken thighs, they're still gonna look kind of pinkish brown kind of on the outside. You can also kind of cut them in the middle to kind of take a peek at them. But these are getting nice and crispy on the outside too. So I'm going to remove these. They are going to continue to cook on your plate as well. Now, as far as things to serve along with this, traditionally rice is eaten along with this, and then you can even pour a little bit more of that sauce on. I think for dinner tonight, I'm gonna have this with a baked potato. You could do roasted potatoes, you could do cauliflower rice, and then have a veggie, like a steamed veggie along with that. You could even grill some pineapple. I'm gonna do grilled pineapple next week, so tune in next week for that recipe. Well, that's Huli Huli chicken, everyone. A great, delicious recipe. It's ono, delicious in Hawaiian, that I think your whole family will love. So thank you for tuning in today. If you'd like this recipe, please visit the Karen Yan Center website and also our Facebook page for the Karen Yan Center. Aloha.